Greetings everyone. As promised, we are continuing our Around the World tour, taking off from the last airport where we landed in the Black Square Starship. This time we'll be flying the Black Square Commander 114. We'll also be taking a look at the newly released Beyond ATC Stage 2 VFR update. A couple of big-ticket features of this update are the en route flight following traffic service and airspace awareness. It also includes dynamic airport loading, but we'll check that out on another flight, maybe the next one after this. One key feature that has yet to be implemented in this VFR update is vectoring while flying in Bravo airspace. So while it does give you traffic awareness, it won't vector you away from traffic to get you out of trouble. You'll see an example of this in this flight, where I get a little too close for comfort with some airliners. Obviously, in real life, you would normally fly lower, underneath the traffic to avoid these issues, but I stayed higher to better highlight the new traffic awareness feature. Stage 2 VFR is currently only available to those that paid the supporters edition of Beyond ATC, but it will eventually go out to everyone. As with previous legs of our Around the World tour, we'll be hearing from our virtual tour guide as she narrates some of the more interesting places we fly over, making the journey a little more interesting. So sit back and enjoy the tour as we continue west on our Around the World adventure.
Hooks ground, November 177 Alpha Quebec at ramp Ni3, Aero Commander 100. Request taxi for VFR departure to the south with flight following.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, departure frequency will be 123.8, squawk 6077.
Departure 123.8, squawk 6077, November 177 Alpha Quebec.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, runway 17 right taxi via Papa Charlie.
Runway 17 right taxi via Papa Charlie, November 177 Alpha Quebec.
Aero 7 Alpha Quebec, contact Hooks Tower 127.4, good day.
Contact Tower 127.4, Aero 7 Alpha Quebec. November 177 Alpha Quebec, ready for departure. Runway 17 right.
Aero 7 Alpha Quebec, wind 130 at 10, gust 17, runway 17 right, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 17 right, cleared for takeoff. Aero 7 Alpha Quebec.
Contact Houston, departure 123.8.
Contact Houston, departure 123.8, Aero 7 Alpha Quebec. Houston approach, November 177 Alpha Quebec, 800.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, good day, radar contact. November 177 Alpha Quebec, traffic 12 o'clock, 5 miles, converging, 2,700.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, leaving 1,100 for 2,500, climbing.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, previously reported traffic no longer a factor. November 177 Alpha Quebec, cleared through the Houston class Bravo, maintain VFR at or below 2,500.
Cleared through the Houston Bravo, VFR at or below 2,500, November 177 Alpha Quebec.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, traffic 11 o'clock, 2 miles, converging, 3,000.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, traffic in sight. November 177 Alpha Quebec, looking for traffic.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, traffic 1 o'clock, 2 miles, crossing right to left, 2,700.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, traffic in sight. Alpha Quebec, traffic in sight.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, traffic 11 o'clock, 2 miles, opposite direction, 3,100. Traffic alert, November 177 Alpha Quebec, 10 o'clock, 2 miles, opposite direction, 3,000. Traffic alert, November 177 Alpha Quebec, 11 o'clock, 5 miles, crossing left to right, 2,700. Traffic alert, November 177 Alpha Quebec, 11 o'clock, 2 miles, crossing left to right, 2,700.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, traffic in sight.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, contact Houston approach 120.05.
On 120.05, November 177 Alpha Quebec. Houston approach, November 177 Alpha Quebec, 2,500.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, good day, Roger. Houston altimeter 29905. Traffic alert, November 177 Alpha Quebec, 6 o'clock, 1 miles, crossing left to right, 2,700.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, traffic in sight. November 177 Alpha Quebec, leaving 2,500 for 1,500, descending.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, Roger.
November 177 Alpha, Quebec.
Hi everyone, my name is Chrissy, and welcome aboard. I'll be your guide for today's flight. And I hope you've all got a good view out the window, because we've got some interesting sights coming up. In just a few minutes, we'll be approaching downtown Houston, where we'll take a little detour to circle the city and get a closer look at its impressive skyline. So, keep an eye out as we come in. We'll spend a few moments taking in the sights. And then, once we've had our look at Houston, we'll turn around, point the airplane west, and continue on with the next part of our journey. All right, everyone, sit back, relax, and enjoy the view. As we circle downtown Houston, take a look below at one of the most recognizable skylines in the American South. What makes Houston particularly interesting from the air is just how suddenly the city rises from the surrounding landscape. For miles, the terrain is almost completely flat, and then, right in the middle of it, this forest of glass and steel appears. The tallest building dominating the skyline is the J.P. Morgan Chase Tower. Rising more than 1,000 feet above the streets below, it has been a defining feature of Houston's skyline since the early 1980s. Nearby, the distinctive Wells Fargo Plaza and the sharply angled roofline of Bank of America Center add to a skyline that looks completely different depending on which direction we're circling. Houston didn't begin as a city of skyscrapers, of course. It began as a small settlement on Buffalo Bayou, the winding waterway that runs just north of downtown. That waterway eventually connected Houston to the Gulf of Mexico and helped turn this inland settlement into one of America's great commercial centers. As we continue around the city, you can really appreciate the scale of Houston. Downtown may be the visual centerpiece, but the metropolitan area stretches far beyond what we can see from this one circle. And look closely between the towers. Houston's downtown is connected by an extraordinary network of tunnels and elevated walkways, allowing people to move through much of the city center while escaping the famous Texas heat and summer storms. From up here, though, there's no escaping the view. A city that began beside a muddy bayou has grown into one of the largest urban areas in the United States. And for the next few moments, we have one of the best seats in the house. probably see, we've left those skyscrapers behind and we're heading west. And what a difference a few minutes can make. Just a short time ago, we were circling between some of the tallest buildings in Texas. Now we're down low, cruising over open countryside, with Houston slowly disappearing behind us. This is one of my favorite parts of flying. When you're down at this altitude, you really get a sense of the landscape. You can see the roads winding through the countryside, the patches of forest, the farms and ranches, and those little communities that you might completely miss if you were flying high above them. And this is really where our journey begins to change. Houston sits on a vast, flat coastal plain, and as we continue west, the landscape will gradually become more varied. The wide open countryside, the rivers and creeks, and eventually the rolling terrain of central Texas will begin to replace the endless suburbs behind us. So take a look out the window and enjoy the ride. We're going to stay low for a while and take our time. No need to rush when there's this much to see, and don't get too comfortable just yet, because we've got a few interesting places coming up along the way. So sit back, enjoy the view, and let's see what we can find out here in the Texas countryside. Take a look down below us. That enormous ribbon of concrete stretching across the landscape is Interstate 10, better known around here as the KD Freeway. And from up here, you can really appreciate just how massive it is. This is one of Houston's main routes heading west. For decades, it has carried commuters, trucks, and travelers between the city and the rapidly growing communities on Houston's western edge. The freeway you see below us is the result of one of the largest highway reconstruction projects in Texas. The original road simply couldn't keep up with Houston's explosive growth, so this entire corridor was expanded and rebuilt into the enormous transportation system we see today. From the air, you can see how the freeway has shaped the landscape around it. Neighborhoods, office buildings, shopping centers, and entire communities have grown outward from Houston, following this corridor west. But watch what happens as we continue in the same direction. The city is beginning to loosen its grip. The buildings become more scattered. The huge developments begin giving way to open spaces, fields, and patches of woodland. We're following one of the great modern routes out of Houston, but in just a few minutes, we're going to cross a landscape where people have been traveling for a very, very long time. Our next stop is San Felipe, and as we approach it, keep an eye out for the Brazos River. That river will tell us exactly why San Felipe was built where it was. You may have noticed that the landscape is changing a little down below us. The suburbs are becoming more scattered now, and we're getting into the countryside west of Houston. Up ahead, we're approaching one of the major natural features of this part of Texas, the Brazos River. Now, from up here, the Brazos doesn't exactly look like a straight line on a map. It winds its way through the countryside, surrounded by wooded bottomlands and open fields. And if you look closely as we get nearer, you can see why this river has been such an important part of life in Texas for generations. Long before highways crossed this landscape, a river like this could be both an obstacle and a lifeline. Finding a reliable place to cross, it mattered. Roads and trails naturally converged at those crossings, and eventually, small settlements began appearing nearby. And that's exactly where we're heading now. So, keep watching the ground below us. In just a moment, we're going to pass over a place that may look surprisingly quiet today. but nearly 200 years ago, this was one of the busiest places in this part of Texas. Welcome to San Felipe. Now, I know what you're thinking. Where's the city? There isn't much of one. And that's exactly what makes this place so fascinating. If you had flown over this same spot in the late 1820s or early 1830s, you would have seen something completely different. Below us, on a high bluff overlooking the broad bottomlands of the Brazos River, stood the town of San Felipe de Austin. The location wasn't chosen by accident. The Brazos provided water, fertile land, and an important transportation route. Nearby was a ferry crossing, and several early roads passed through this area. The town itself was built on higher ground above the river, giving its residents a view across the surrounding countryside. And for a frontier settlement, San Felipe grew remarkably quickly. By 1828, it already had a population of around 200 people.
23 Houston Center, copy.
Coming up ahead is Bellville, the county seat of Austin County. Bellville was founded in the 1840s and named after Thomas B. Bell, one of Stephen F. Austin's original colonists. When Austin County needed a new county seat, Bellville was chosen because it was more centrally located than the older settlement of San Felipe. The town grew into an important center for the surrounding farming communities, particularly after the railroad arrived in the late 1800s. The courthouse square became the heart of the community, with businesses and homes developing around it. Today, Bellville is known for its historic downtown and its connection to the German and Czech immigrants who settled throughout this part of Texas. You can still see that influence in the architecture, food, and local traditions. From the air, Bellville looks like a relatively small Texas town surrounded by farmland, but its location made it an important center for this entire region.
Southwest 2034.
is Roundtop, one of the smallest incorporated towns in Texas, with a population of only around 90 people. Despite its tiny size, Roundtop has a surprisingly interesting history. The area was first settled in the 1820s, and German immigrants began arriving here in the 1840s, giving the community much of the German character it still has today. The town got its unusual name from an octagonal tower on a building that served as an early stagecoach stop. From a distance, the top of the building looked round, and stagecoach drivers began referring to the stop as Roundtop. The name eventually stuck. But these days, Roundtop is probably best known for something much more modern: antiques. What started as a small antique show in 1968 has grown into one of the country's biggest antique markets. Several times a year, the tiny town and the surrounding countryside are filled with dealers and hundreds of thousands of visitors, searching through barns, tents, and fields for antiques, art, and furniture. So below us is a town with a funny name, a long Texas history, and a rather remarkable transformation. from a tiny stagecoach stop to an internationally known destination for antiques.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, leaving 1,500 for 2,000, climbing.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, roger. November 893 Alpha Foxtrot, contact Houston Center 132.15, have a good day.
Contact Houston Center 132.15, November 893 Alpha Foxtrot, have a good day.
United 535, contact Houston approach 124.35. Contact Houston approach, United 535. Big Strike 292, contact Houston approach 124.35, safe flight. Contact Houston approach, Big Strike 292, see you. November 177 Alpha Quebec, contact Houston Center 127.725.
On 127.725, November 177 Alpha Quebec, have a good day. Houston Center, November 177 Alpha Quebec 2000.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, roger, altimeter 29er.
Houston Center, onboard 3778, good day, flight level 187.
Onboard 3778, Houston Center. November 83 Foxtrot Papa, contact Houston Center 134.2, take care.
Contact Houston Center 134.2, November 83 Foxtrot Papa.
And coming up below us is something you definitely don't see every day. If you look down, you may notice what appears to be a giant word written across the landscape. And that's exactly what it is. It spells lucky. These enormous letters are the last name of a local landowner, Jimmy Lucca. The name stretches for roughly 3 miles across the Texas landscape. The letters were created by selectively clearing the forest, leaving the remaining trees to form the name. And just in case you're wondering, yes, it's big enough to be seen from space. In fact, NASA has even used this giant landmark to help evaluate the resolution of images taken from orbit. So while most people leave their name on a mailbox, a building, or maybe a business sign, someone here in Texas decided to write his name across 3 miles of countryside. And the result is so large that pilots, airline passengers, satellites, and even astronauts have been able to see it. So if you spotted the word Lucca below us, congratulations. You just found one of Texas's strangest and most unusual landmarks.
Airport, November 514 Bravo T-Low.
Austin 127.225, November 177 Alpha Quebec. Have a good day.
Southwest 295, airport is at your 11 o'clock, 12 miles. Report the field in sight. Field in sight, Southwest 295. Southwest 295, cleared visual approach, runway 18 right. Cleared visual approach 18 right, Southwest 295.
Austin approach, November 177 Alpha Quebec 2000.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, good day, Roger, Austin, altimeter 29901. Southwest 281, contact Austin Tower 121.0, good day.
Over to Tower 121.0, Southwest 281, have a good day. Austin approach, aviation 1352, 11,200.
Southwest 295, contact Austin Tower 121.0.
up below us is Cedar Creek, a small community with roots going back almost to the very beginning of Anglo-American settlement in Texas. The area was first settled in 1832, when Addison Lytton and his wife, Mary Owen Lytton, established their home here. Other settlers soon followed, and Cedar Creek gradually developed into a small but active community. By the 1880s, Cedar Creek had grown to a population of around 600 people. At the time, this was an important stop for the surrounding farming communities, serving as a shipping point for cotton and other country produce. And Cedar Creek even had its own school for training teachers, called the Central Texas Normal Academy. During its first year in 1884, it enrolled more than 100 students. For a small rural community, that was a pretty significant operation. But like many small Texas towns, Cedar Creek changed over time. Its population gradually declined, and by the early 20th century, it was home to just a few hundred people. Still, it remained a typical self-contained rural community, with general stores, a cotton gin, a doctor, a tailor, and even a cattle dealer. Oil drilling eventually reached the area as well. In 1928, oil was discovered on a farm a few miles east of Cedar Creek. It never turned into a major oil boom.
14 miles. Report the field in sight. Field in sight, Frontier Flight 4684. Frontier Flight 4684, cleared visual approach runway 18 right. Cleared visual approach 18 right, Frontier Flight 4684. Southwest 3999, contact Austin Tower 121.0.
Over to Tower 121.0, Southwest 3999.
Allegiant 1352, turn left, heading 240, vectors for the approach.
Turn left, heading 240, Allegiant 1352. Austin approach, SkyWest 3650, 14,200.
Skywest 3650, Austin approach. Advise you have Alpha altimeter 299er4, expect a visual approach, runway 18 right.
Altimeter 299er4, expect the visual approach, runway 18 right, SkyWest 36.
Off to our far left, you can see Austin Bergstrom International Airport in the distance. We're not flying over the airport itself, but from up here, you can get a good sense of just how large the airport complex is, compared with the surrounding countryside.
Allegiant 1352.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, contact Executive Tower 120.3.
Contact Executive 120.3, November 177 Alpha, Quebec. Executive Tower, November 177 Alpha, Quebec, 7 miles east of Austin Bergstrom, inbound.
November 177 Alpha, Quebec, Executive Tower, into right, downwind, runway 13, report midfield downwind, altimeter 299er4.
Enter right, downwind, runway 13, report midfield, altimeter 299er4, November 177 Alpha, Quebec.
Austin Bergstrom has an interesting history because the airport we see over there began life as a military installation. During World War II, the U.S. Army established Bellville Army Air Base on this site in 1942. The following year, it was renamed Bergstrom Field in honor of Captain John August Earl Bergstrom, an Austin native who was killed in the Philippines during the war. After the creation of the U.S. Air Force in 1947, the base became Bergstrom Air Force Base. For more than 50 years, military aircraft operated from those runways, making the base an important part of Austin's aviation history. But by the early 1990s, the Cold War was winding down, and Bergstrom was selected for closure. That turned out to be good timing for the city of Austin. Austin's existing airport, Robert Mueller Municipal Airport, had been serving the city since 1930, but Austin had grown dramatically, and the city had eventually expanded all the way around the airport. There wasn't much room left for the kind of expansion a growing city would need. The former Air Force Base offered a solution. After extensive redevelopment, Austin Bergstrom International Airport opened in 1999, replacing Mueller as Austin's primary commercial airport. So, even though we're keeping the airport well off our left today, what we're looking at is more than just a modern passenger airport. Beneath those runways and terminals is the history of a World War II airfield and a former Air Force base. And as we continue toward our turn north, Austin Bergstrom will remain off to our left while we leave the larger Austin area behind and continue toward our destination at Austin Executive Airport.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, left downwind 13 full stop.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, wind 150 at 5, runway 13, cleared to land.
Cleared to land, runway 13, November 177 Alpha Quebec.
We're now approaching the end of our tour, so please make sure your seatbelt is securely fastened and that everything is safely stowed as we prepare for landing. If you've enjoyed this journey across the Texas countryside, be sure to join us on our next tour as we continue heading west toward San Antonio. That next leg will take us farther into Texas, with more towns, landmarks, and stories along the way. Thank you for coming along with us today. It's been a pleasure having you on board, and we hope you'll join us again for the next adventure. For now, sit back, enjoy the last few minutes of the flight, and keep that seatbelt securely fastened as we make our way to the airport. Thanks for flying with us.
177 Alpha Quebec.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, contact ground 1945.
Ground 1945, November 177 Alpha Quebec, take care. Executive Ground, November 177 Alpha Quebec, request taxi to parking.
November 177 Alpha Quebec, taxi to dock 21 via Alpha.
Taxi to dock 21 via Alpha, November 177 Alpha Quebec.